This is Jesus' day, and it's like kids only care about getting the presents.
Well, it's not just about presents. It's about family, friends, food, and lights.
And kindness and laughing.
And Jesus.
Yes.
They keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night. That was so.
Midnight strikes it off. See them rushing through the same doors. Find kids in a sugarcane store. Is this what they sun rain for? Rum-pa-bum-bum, rum-pa-bum-bum.
Every time I see a Christmas show production, I'm always looking to see it from an angle that I've never seen it before. And of course, I mean, how could you not see it from a different angle with these amazing ones right here? So we got our to-do list of things to help God out. One of them being read the Bible. We're going to read the Bible for Him. Did you know that it works much better when you read it with Him?
Yes.
Come on.
Everything in life works better when you do it with Him instead of for Him. And it's a slight shift in terminology, but it's a huge shift in the heart. Because when we do things with Him, what we're saying is, God, I don't want to do things to prove to you that I'm enough. I'm going to do things because you make me enough.
Come on.
You make me enough. That means that the moment you get saved, you become enough instantly. So you could be a 1-second believer and a 90-year believer, and you're enough.
That's right.
The totem pole does not exist in the kingdom when it comes to being enough.
Come on.
They're already enough because they're in Christ. And trust me, if they're not enough then, they're not going to be enough in 90 years. And some of the tricks of our mind is the longer we serve God, the more we start to think that being enough starts to be up to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus, thank you for passing me the baton of being enough, and now I will prove to you that I am worth it.
Yeah.
Jesus never asks you to prove that you're worth Him coming. He proved it by coming.
Come on.
That's right.
That's it.
He proved that you're worth it by coming.
Yeah.
And certainty is an interesting thing. We shift our life according to certainty. We shift our life according to what we can actually say we are certain about. Things that we're not certain about are very wobbly when we want to stand on them. Matter of fact, insecurity is simply putting security in something that's not very secure. The shepherds know about the prophecy of a Messiah coming. They know there's a Messiah coming. But when the angels show up, they don't rejoice at first. They go, uh-oh. How many of you know that when God interrupts our lives, even with good news, sometimes there's an uh-oh involved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like ready to party. Hey, we got great good news. But we're tending sheep. Can't you see we're busy here tending sheep, minding our own business on this nice quiet evening? And in comes heaven. Sometimes when heaven interrupts our lives, it's not quietly. And sometimes it's not in the flow of our lives. Sometimes it interrupts us out of our flow.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're people of flow, that's a little irritating. Say, I'm reading a book here, God. I don't got time to talk to you.
Come on.
But I got this promise for you. I want to show you. You know that thing you've been believing for years? Yes. It's showing up. But I've built a life around not having it.
Right.
And now you want to bring it?
Come on.
We get busy filling our lives with everything that aren't His promise when we don't have His promise.
Come on.
And then when the promise shows up, sometimes we don't have room. It creates a disruption. But what a beautiful disruption it is. And aren't you glad that the angels didn't say, well, tough luck, then you guys don't get to see Jesus because you're afraid. No, the angel said, hey, this is good news. I know it's interruptive to your nice quiet evening in Bethlehem, hanging out with sheep. Everybody wants to hang out with sheep. It's like, really? You got stuff to do? You're busy with sheep? But sometimes that's what it looks like, I think, from heaven. Is we're busy with things that don't seem, that they're not nearly as important as the promise that's showing up. But there are things that we're going to hold on to for dear life.
Right.
We're taking care of these sheep. We know the Messiah is showing it. He's here. He's here. And the first reaction could be a startle. God in his patience doesn't worry about startling us with good news.
No.
He comforts us through the startling. And he says, listen, this is good news.
Amen.
You might not be able to see it yet. Because your emotions, your amygdala's hijacked. You can't think straight. You're going all over the place. And there's angels. And it's like, okay. But this is good news. Good news. But this was good news. They went to find Jesus. Jesus came so that you could be certain of some things. And that's what we're talking about this morning. Because hope, a life of hope, is divine expectancy of God's goodness. Divine expectancy of God's goodness invading every area of your life. That's hope. You don't know how, you don't know when,
Right.
but you know his goodness is something that's going to invade
Yeah.
every area of your life. That is real hope. And so when Jesus came, he came to bring certainty of four things. The first thing he came to bring certainty of, he came to bring certainty that he is powerful. He could not have come if he was not powerful. It requires a powerful God to come from heaven to earth.
Right.
And not only did he come, but he redeemed everything. See, we think redemption started at the cross. No, redemption started before the foundations of the earth. Ephesians 1:5, when you were predestined to be sons.
Yeah.
Redemption existed in the heart of God before it ever came to earth.
Yes.
Which means when God decides something is going to exist, he does not hesitate and he does not tiptoe back and forth. When he decides something is going to exist, it will exist.
Yeah.
Because he is faithful. Not only is he faithful, but he is faith. Not only does he love you, but he is love.
Right.
So faith is his nature. This is when we understand the power of words and the power of faith. When you have faith and you speak something, it shifts something in the atmosphere. Jesus is the anchor between the seen and the unseen world.
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
So here he is showing up on the scene to bring these two realms together so that there's never any chaos anymore. He reigns in the spirit realm, he reigns in the natural realm. He reigns in both realms. Yes?
Yeah.
And when we speak with faith, we can say to this mountain, being moved, right? Well, did you know God is faith? So he doesn't have to have faith. He just is faith.
Right.
He doesn't look around and say, man, I hope I have enough faith today to say this. I'm going to say something crazy. You're holy. Doesn't he call you holy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's some faith. But because he is faith, everything that comes out of his mouth. And this gold mine, I think, was opened up in 1906. And they started digging for gold back in 1906. And they did it the regular way where they would dig these holes and, create mine shafts. And it was a very common way to dig for gold. And they found many, many veins of gold. And they did a really good job of actually creating a lot of wealth. It was a lot of resources in this mine. But it started to get too dangerous to dig. And it started getting not profitable enough because they weren't finding large enough veins of gold. And about 40 years ago, they started using a new method of mining for gold. And what they found is that they used cyanide. Okay, they would use cyanide to liquefy gold. They could strain through dirt at an incredible rate and pull all the gold out of it. This is what they did. Instead of digging new tunnels, they started going through all the mounds of dirt that they had dug for 50 years, 60 years. They had pulled all the gold they could see out of that dirt. And now they went back to those mounds of dirt, and with this new method, they began to mine all the gold back out of the dirt again.
Come on.
This is, I think, in 1969 when they started this. Guys, they're still doing it. They're mining the gold out of the piles of dirt that they already had mined before. And when they did, they became so profitable. They have, I think, over 700 employees now, huge trucks, and they're just constantly mining the dirt. But isn't it interesting that the solution that is created to mine the gold is cyanide? That we think there's nothing left in. The years and years of trying to make stuff work. The years and years of putting our best foot forward only to find ourselves tripping again.
Yeah.
Or hearing a promise and not seeing it come to pass. Right? I don't want to hear one more prophecy about that. How many of you have ever been there? I don't want to hear one more, no more promises, no more prophecy. Come on, until I see it, zip it. I have a word for you. I don't want a word. I know you don't do this in church. Like, yes, please give it to me. In the back of your mind going, stop it. I don't need a scripture. I read the word for myself, thank you. And then God shows up with his power and he says, you know that thing that you think is going to kill you, that cyanide that would usually kill you? The very thing that you're most afraid of right now, the thing you don't want to touch right now, I'm going to use it to mine all the mounds of dirt in your life, to recover everything that's lost, to restore it back to its original luster. I'm going to take, you think you've seen gold in your history? Those big, veins of gold that everybody else goes, oh, how amazing is this? I don't care what everybody else sees. I care what I see, and I see more gold in you than anyone's ever seen. I see more gold in your promise, more gold in your story, more gold in your design. Because he's that powerful. Yeah. When you know of the certainty of the power of God, you'll mine the mounds of dirt in your life with no fear of what exists in those. No matter how much pain, no matter how much junk, no matter how much failure, no matter how much shame, no matter how much guilt, you won't be afraid of the mounds of dirt, because when you're with God, the cyanide that's trying to kill you will actually expose the gold. When you're with God, he's more powerful than anything that's come against you. You don't have to be afraid of the dirt in your life. It's time to mine the dirt. But you have to be certain that he is powerful.
Right.
He's more powerful than your dirt. Come on.
Come on.
You must be certain that he is good. When you're certain that he is good, I once heard this phrase, you will only explore land that you are certain to find the goodness of God in. You will only explore land that you're certain to find goodness in. See, when we're not certain that we're going to find the goodness of God, we'll avoid things at all costs. We'll still be trying to dress ourselves up good enough to make him like us, because we're not sure how good he is. To actually deal with where we're at and then begin to explore the land he wants for us. Most of the time in our lives, when we're filling our lives with things that aren't his, is because we're not certain that his stuff will actually fill us. If he's really good.
Come on.
Or we make it nice and pretty good. The cheesy good, the surfacey good. Oh, he's so good. My wife and I, when we first started dating, and I think it was right before we got married the first time, she says, you're so nice. I'm like, please never call me nice again. No guy ever wants to be nice. Dangerous, radical, I'm going to go kill something for you. I'm not nice. And I think some of us have that idea of God. Well, if we call him good, we see him, benign. We see him with no power.
Come on.
We see him kind of like, Santa Claus. That he's powerful first.
Yeah.
Because if he's just good without any power to do anything for you, who cares if he's good or not? He's somewhere in a corner, sitting by himself, wishing nice thoughts for you. Right? No, he's powerful, but he's also good.
Right.
He's so good that he decided to come to earth. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
He's so good, it's not that he died for you, but he died as you. He died as all of your sin. Right?
Right.
Matter of fact, Jesus didn't come to die, he came to love. It required death. Because he didn't just die, he rose, he ascended, he's at the right hand of the Father, he's everything you could ever experience. But that kind of goodness has a raw power to it. His goodness is powerful. Certain of his goodness that it transforms how you see your circumstances. But you must be certain that he is good.
That's it.
And when you're certain that he is good, you'll explore the land that he has for you.
Right.
Because you're certain that in that land is something that's going to satisfy you.
Come on.
He satisfies you. Not in a religious, get all dressed up and you're nice and satisfied. No, like as in a nice steak. And all the vegetarians are like, what? You know what I'm talking about. Come on. Carne asada? Okay. Spiritually, you'll live a very Gnostic life. You'll live like, I'm so satisfied when I'm alone with God, but then I live 95% of my time with people, and who needs people? I'm not satisfied. No. He satisfies you in life.
Yeah.
See, Jesus didn't just die in the spirit realm. He died in the natural realm to redeem the natural and the spirit realm. So when you make Christianity all about, I got my spiritual needs met, your physical needs, he doesn't care about those. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
That's why he died on the cross.
Yeah.
So provide, so you don't have to worry about those as well.
Right.
Come on.
Come on.
He wants to meet your needs, your very real, everyday needs. And so it requires us, when we start this journey, it requires us to be certain that he is what?
Good.
Powerful.
He is powerful first, and he is
Good.
certain that God is what?
Powerful.
And certain that he is
Good.
certain that he is
Powerful.
and certain that he is
Good.
certain that he's going to do next. Why are you watching? I'm waiting for something amazing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he's that good.
Yeah.
And he's that powerful. He's that powerful and he's that good. He's that good and he's that powerful.
That's it.
He's that powerful and he is that good.
Right.
He's that good and he's powerful.
Right.
He's powerful and he's good. And then the next truth is that he is powerful and good for you. Because it makes a difference. So you can believe in the nature of God being good. You can believe in the nature of God being powerful. But it won't matter to you until you believe that he is good for you.
Yeah.
Mounds and mounds of dirt. And they started finding gold. What starts to take place when you start to realize that you now have places to get gold again is you start digging again.
Right.
Your digging time's not over.
Right.
When you start finding gold in dirt, and you start becoming certain that there's gold in what you're digging, it gives you the courage to dig again. In this mine, once they started going through the mounds of dirt and finding so much gold, they started digging new holes. And when they did, they realized they found the biggest mother lode, the one that the past generation had been looking for. They found the mother lode, and they found it 50 feet from where the past generation stopped digging. And because they weren't certain, and because they questioned, they didn't have the courage to push past the pain of digging.
That's right.
But when you're certain of his goodness, and you're certain he's powerful, and you're certain he's powerful and good for you, you'll keep digging.
Come on.
Unbelief doesn't show up because of a lack of evidence. It is the fruit from a lack of connection. It's hard to trust a God that you're not sure likes you.
Right.
Unbelief is not a lack of evidence, it's a lack of connection. It's hard to trust a God that you're not certain likes you. Verse 4, what pleasure fills those who live every day in your temple, enjoying you as they worship in your presence? How enriched are they who find their strength in the Lord, within their hearts are the highways of holiness. How enriched are they who find their strength in the Lord? Everybody say, I find my strength in the Lord. I find my strength in the Lord. Oh, I love that. Even when their paths wind through the dark valley of tears, the valley of Baca. Even when their paths wind through the valley of tears, the dark valley of tears. Even then, they dig deep to find a pleasant pool where others only find pain. He gives to them a brook of blessing filled from the rain of an outpouring. And hear my cry, O God of heaven's armies, God of Jacob, listen to my loving prayer. I want you to understand what's happening here. He's saying, those who put their hope in God, those that have finally come to grips where everywhere else they put their hope is not going to be certain, there needs to be one thing certain in life. That one thing certain is the nature of God, His goodness, His kindness, and His love, and His power towards me individually. We got to understand this. He loves you. He doesn't just love humanity, He loves you. He didn't just die for everyone, He died for someone. And when you get a hold of this and you start to experience that kind of love, that kind of power, that kind of goodness, what happens? You have so much strength that you can walk through a winding valley of dark valley of weeping. A dark valley of weeping. Even in sorrow, as he's weeping, he's full of joy and hope. Even as he dies, he's certain of the resurrection. Are you getting this?
That's good. Yes.
Are you getting this? Come on. There's a story, I love to hear about this story specifically of elephants that can literally smell water under the ground.
Yeah.
And they'll be in the desert in a dry, arid place, and they smell water maybe 2 or 3 feet under the ground. And what they'll do is they'll release this low sound that every elephant, I believe it's within 20 miles, can hear it. It vibrates into the ground. But what starts to take place is elephants, when 20 miles, start to gather around this one elephant that smelled water when no one else would smell it. Because everything that looks like the desert, but it smells water. All the elephants come together, and in synchronized stepping, they start to pound the ground where the water is. One elephant smelled it, many gathered because one smelled it. And they all come together and they converge, and they're not looking around saying, man, I hope water's here. They say, no, there's water here, so it's time to get to work. Where everyone else would pass through the desert looking for water elsewhere, they're certain that there's water there, and they start to go together. Boom, boom, like a tribe, finding water where everyone else is seeing a desert. Like a tribe, certainty of the goodness of God and the power of God. That God is good not just for the world, but He's good for us. He's good to us. He has a plan for us to prosper us, to give us a hope and a future. These elephants pounding the ground. And when everyone else is feeling hopeless because all there is a desert. But when they know that God is powerful, and when they know He's good, they know that He will never lead them to a desert where there is not water. God will never lead you into a desert where there is not water.
Amen.
And when you know that there is water in your desert and everyone else feels hopeless, you just send out that sound. You say, no, there is a God, and He's worthy of our hope. He's worthy of our trust. He's worthy of our worship. He's worthy of our surrender. He's worthy of us yielding all of our life to Him. And you release that sound, and you get people around you that think the same way, that aren't thinking about survival. They're thinking about thriving in the midst of the desert. They're not letting circumstances determine whether they thrive, but they're putting their hope in Jesus, Emmanuel. God with us. Weep when you have to weep. Go through the pain when you got to go through the pain. But don't just weep. Pound the ground while you're weeping. Come on. Say, there must be water here. I don't know. I don't see it. All I can see is desert. All I feel is the pain. All I'm doing is weeping. But I know the certainty of the goodness of God. I know the certainty of the power of Jesus. And I'm going to pound the ground even while I'm weeping.
That's right.
And as you do that, water starts coming out, and your tears will mix with the streams that are flowing.
Yes.
And rain always follows rivers. And your personal breakthrough will shift the climate from desert and wasteland into an oasis for other people to find shade.
That's it.
This is about your story today, not everyone else's.
Because he came with the power to bind the authority,
Come on.
to shatter the authority that binds you to chaos. Right? He came with the power to bind the authority that binds you to chaos. That's what he came for. He came to bind everything in your life that would seek you to keep you connected to the chaos, to the past, to the things that have been spoken over you, to the things that have been said, to the things that you've done, to whatever the enemy, whatever lie, whatever thing that the enemy would seek to keep you bound, to that chaos that seeks to drive your life. He says, I came to shatter that chaos with my peace.
Come on.
I am the Prince of Peace. I am Emmanuel. I am God with you, and I shatter the chaos over your life.